Hi there, Andy from SSL here, and thank you for joining us today as we explore using our SSL UF8 control surface with Pro Tools. In this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know from connecting UF8 to your system, configuring the SSL 360 software which drives UF8, through to controlling Pro Tools itself. Towards the end of the video, we'll even cover customizing UF8 to suit your own workflow with the triggering of custom keyboard command sequences from a single button press. Now remember, you can actually connect up to 4 UF8s to create a huge 32-channel control surface. But in this video, we're keeping things simple with a single UF8. So without further ado, let's get to it. UF8 uses an external auto-ranging power supply which is included in the box. Simply connect the power supply to the rear panel connector socket labelled DC. Next, connect UF8 to your computer using one of the included USB cables. If your computer has a USB-A type port, then connect from that port on your computer to the socket labelled USB on UF8. Or, if your computer has a USB-C port, then connect from that to the port labelled USB on UF8. The port labelled through can be used to daisy-chain USB communication through multiple UF8s should you have more than one. So for instance, you would connect the through port from your first UF8 to the USB port on the second. Finally, you'll see two jack sockets labelled FS1 and FS2. These are two standard foot switch connections which can be used to trigger various DAW commands like play and record from a standard momentary foot switch pedal. SSL 360 software is the brains behind your UF8 control surface, and it must be installed on your Mac or PC in order to use UF8. So head to the Downloads section on the SSL website, choose UF8 from the product list, and download SSL 360. Once downloaded, simply follow the steps in the installer. With SSL 360 installed, it's time to open it up. And you'll be greeted with the home page. This is where you'll notice your UF8s appear once they're connected. If you have multiple UF8s, you can simply drag and drop to rearrange as needed. And to help you do this, we've got a really nice Identify feature whereby if you click down on the image in the software, the displays of UF8 change to show the logo. Just helps you easily identify which unit you're moving. In this video, we'll be using just one UF8, so I'll go ahead and disconnect the second one. The homepage is also where you'll see if any software or firmware updates are required for your system, so be sure to check it out and make sure you're up to date. One of UF8's special features is its ability to emulate a USB keyboard. This allows you to program and stack multiple keystrokes of your most commonly used DAW shortcuts directly onto UF8's keys, saving time, speeding up your workflow. We'll cover the specifics of how to set up keystrokes later in the video, but first we need to ensure the keyboard emulator inside UF8 is set up to operate for the correct geographical location that you're in, i.e. Europe, America or Japan. Now as soon as you've plugged in your UF8, you're likely to have seen this keyboard setup assistant window, and this is what the Mac presents when it doesn't recognise a keyboard that you've plugged in. Now don't worry if you closed this window the first time it appeared, you can always get back to it by going to System Preferences, Keyboard, and as long as your UF8 is plugged into your computer, change keyboard type. Now, before you proceed with the next step, you do need to ensure that SSL 360 is installed and running on your computer. If it is, then go and click Continue, and on your UF8 control surface, press and hold the 360 key for 3 seconds or until it turns orange. You'll now be able to select the region that you're in, and click Done. Next, we want to configure 360 to work with the factory shipped Pro Tools profile. So go into 360, click on the UF8 tab, and then in Layer 1, check that Pro Tools is selected from the drop-down list. Now you'll also notice I've got layers 2 and 3, which I could configure if working with multiple DAWs, such as Pro Tools on Layer 1 and Logic on Layer 2, but I'm only using Pro Tools today, so this is set up correctly. Now beneath the layer selection, you'll see all the user-definable keys that I can set up or change, and right at the bottom we have foot switches and the advanced settings, which we'll come back to later. Next, we need to configure UF8 as a MIDI controller in Pro Tools. So go to the Setup menu, MIDI, and MIDI input devices. Now I'll see the SSL vMIDI ports, and as I'm using one UF8 on one layer today, I just need to tick SSL vMIDI port 1. If I were using multiple UF8s, I'd go ahead and tick subsequent vMIDI ports here. Each port takes 8 channels. The vMIDI ports are installed when you install 360 and is the way in which UF8 communicates with Pro Tools via 360. Finally, we need to go to Setup, Peripherals, go to Type, put that to Huey, then go to Receive From, set that to SSL vMIDI port 1, and do the same for the Send To dropdown, setting that to SSL vMIDI port 1, and click OK. With our setup complete, UF8 is sprung into life, and you'll notice the track metering, track names, and fader dB readout across the middle of the displays. Down in the main controller section, of course, I have the solo, cut or mute, and select keys. Now above the faders we have a row of 8 VPOTs, VPOT standing for virtual pot, and the function of these depends on the current VPOT assignment mode. As you can see, currently they're controlling pans, and I can push the VPOT to reset the pan to center. If I want to control the right-hand pan of a stereo track, I simply press the pan key, and then I can turn the VPOT and it's controlling the right-hand pan. Again, push to reset this to the center. If I press pan again, I'm back controlling the left-hand pan. Now the other thing about working with pans is I can press and hold the fine key, and not only is the pan now working in a finer resolution, but I also get a value readout on the UF8 display. Now if I always want to work like this, I can actually have the SSL 360 trigger the engagement of the fine key automatically for me. Simply go into 360, scroll down to the advanced section and tick Always Fine Pan. Now, when I'm controlling pans with UF8, it always goes into this fine mode and it does it automatically. Let's take a look at controlling sends with UF8. On the left-hand side, I have number keys 1 through 5, and these allow me direct access to Pro Tools sends A through to E. So to work with a send, I simply select the one I'm interested in. So number 1 is send A, and now the VPOTs are controlling send A levels across all tracks in Pro Tools. If I want send B, I simply press number 2, and they're controlling send B levels. Pushing the VPOT will reset the send to 0. Now just like with pans, I can operate in a fine resolution by pushing and holding the fine key and then turning the VPOT. I get a finer resolution and also a value readout on the display. And I can of course make this an automatic process by turning on Always Fine Sends in 360. Now when I'm controlling a send level, the fine key is automatically engaged for me. Now the other aspects I can control in send mode are things like whether sends are pre or post fader. I do that with the top row of 8 keys, and I can simply come in and toggle between pre and post like so. And then I can press the VPOT key, and the top row of 8 keys become my mute keys for each send. So I can unmute these sends here, like so. And pressing the VPOT key again will return me to pre or post selection. Now the nice thing about working with sends is that I can of course flip them down onto the faders using the flip key. This is great for balancing headphone mixes or riding effects levels. Let's take a look at the selection mode keys on the right hand side of UF8. There are 3 modes: Norm for normal, Rec for record, and Auto for automation. In Norm mode, the select keys are acting as regular track select keys in Pro Tools. If I want a non-contiguous range of select keys, I simply press and hold one, and then I can add others to it. Or I can do a continuous selection by going into User Bank 3 and finding the Shift modifier, press and hold this, and then press the select keys. Or, if I want to select all or deselect all the select keys, I can press the Opt modifier key over here, and then press the select keys to toggle. If I press the Rec selection mode key, then the select buttons become track arms. I currently don't have any inputs set up, so I won't do this now. Finally, we have the Auto key, which enables me to use the select keys to put any track into an automation mode. So I simply select the track I'm interested in, like so, and then press one of the automation modes, such as touch. This track is now ready to write automation on in Pro Tools. You'll notice there are some additional labels underneath the selection mode keys labelled Clear, All, and Zero. These are some special workflow enhancement features we've added to help speed up your workflow. For example, if I have multiple solos selected, I can simply press and hold Clear, and then press the solo to clear all solos. Similarly, for cuts or mutes, I have multiples selected, press and hold Clear, press the cut, and it's the same for selection keys. Pressing and holding the All key and then pressing a select key will cause all tracks to be record armed. I won't do this at the moment because I don't have any inputs set up. And then finally on the right hand side we have the Zero key, and this allows me to zero faders, pressing and holding the Zero key and pressing the select key. I can also press and hold Zero and All to zero all faders. Let's take a look at the large stepped channel encoder on the right hand side of UF8. By default, it will bank you through your tracks one at a time, like so. Or, if I prefer, I can use the bank keys to bank in multiples of 8. The channel encoder also has 3 alternative modes of operation. The first one is Nav, and if I put it into Nav, the channel encoder now scrolls me through my timeline. And you can see in the edit window my playhead cursor moving here. If I press the nudge key, I can select an audio region and then nudge it by the nudge value set in Pro Tools using the channel encoder here. And then finally, we have the focus key. In focus mode, the large channel encoder behaves as a mouse scroll wheel. This is obviously great for things like controlling plugin parameters. So open up a plugin, it could be any plugin, in this instance we're using Drumstrip, hover your mouse cursor over the parameter you're interested in, and then simply turn the channel encoder to control it. And if you need to change the sensitivity, then head to your mouse scroll speed in your system preferences. In the bottom right of UF8 are the cursor keys, and in the middle of them, what's known as the mode key. Now, if I come in and turn the mode key on, the cursor keys allow me to do vertical zooming and also horizontal zooming in the timeline. If I turn the mode key off, then the up and down cursor keys allow me to move my cursor between tracks in Pro Tools, and the left and right keys allow me to tab between transients if tab to transients on, or tab between edit points if it's off. Let's take a look at channel mode, which I can access by pressing the channel key on the left hand side. And as I do this, you'll see the displays turn purple on UF8. In channel mode, I can access sends A through to E and the pan on the selected track all from one place. So I simply select the track I'm interested in, and then reach out to control the send level as I normally would. I can grab send A here. And of course, I can use the soft keys at the top to toggle the pre and post state. If I want to exit channel mode, I simply press the channel key again, like so. Plugin mode is great for controlling plugin parameters using the VPOTs and the soft keys. To enter plugin mode, simply press the plugin key, and the displays will turn a cyan colour on UF8. Once in plugin mode, I can use the number keys 1 to 5 to access inserts A through to E in Pro Tools. All I need to do is select the track I'm interested in, and then press the number key I want, so 1 is insert A. Now you can see that the plugin parameters have been spread across the first 4 VPOTs and the first 4 soft keys if there are switches on that page. Now this could be any plugin, we just happen to be using SSL native channel strip today. Now I can go in and manipulate the parameters using the vpots here. If the plugin has multiple pages, use the page keys to access them. Now I've got control of the low frequency band of the EQ. And I can also access switches like the EG switch on the top here. Now another thing worth noting is that within Softkey Bank 3, I have access to the F5 command. Now the F5 command allows you to toggle between fixed and velocity sensitive control whilst controlling plugins. You can see the display tells me which mode I'm currently working in. So you may need to change this depending on the plugin that's currently being used for the best control. Now if I want to work on a different insert slot, for example insert B, it couldn't be easier. I simply press the number 2 key, the plugin comes up, and I'm now controlling the plugin parameters in the same way as before. To exit plugin mode, I simply press the plugin key once more. With each UF8 control surface, you have the ability to customize 43 keys with either your own custom keyboard command sequences or rearrangement of any of the available DAW commands from the list in 360. You access the user-assigned keys via the top row of 8 soft keys, and you move between the 5 banks using the keys 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the top right of UF8. Now don't forget you have the 3 quick keys at the top left of UF8 which can also be customised to your own commands. These quick keys come pre-assigned to the following things. Quick key 1 allows me to toggle between edit and mix windows. Quick key 2 turns on and off the transport window. And then 3 allows me to toggle the session window open. Now let's take a look at changing one of these quick key assignments. So the one I'm interested in changing is quick key 3, which is currently toggling session window open and closed. I want to change this to be a function that will clear metering clips. Now what I want to do is go into 360 and then find the quick key I'm interested in here. And I'm going to change the command and scroll down to F key 1, which is clear clips. Now, if I jump back into Pro Tools and I get the track playing again, now I'm just going to grab this and by means of demonstration make it clip. And then I can come in, press quick key 3 and the clip is cleared. Now let's take a quick look through some of the pre-assignments in the user banks. So we're in user bank 1 and I have things such as transport control and loop on and off, for example. In user bank 2, I've got commands set up to move between previous and next markers, turn pre and post roll on and off. User bank 3 has the modifier keys and special F1 and F5 keys we've already explored. User bank 4 has all my common editing commands such as cut, copy, paste. User bank 5 is currently unassigned, so let's do an example assigning a key in user bank 5. Now for this example, we're going to actually perform a custom keyboard command sequence instead of just choosing one of the available DAW commands from the list. Now a good example of this is something which I like to do in sessions, which is supplement kick and snare drums with a sample of the best hit. Now in Pro Tools you can do this by copying an audio region such as this one and going up with P command, then tabbing to transient, going down with the colon key and pressing V to paste. Now what I'm going to do is take this entire sequence and program it onto a single key press on UF8. So to do this I'm going to open up 360, make sure I'm on user bank 5 here, click in the editor here. Now instead of clicking DAW command I'm going to choose keyboard command. So in here I need to type that sequence, so C to copy, P to go up, tab to transient, colon to go down, V to paste. And I'm going to give this a useful label, sample sup. And this label will appear on the screen below the key on UF8. So that's all set up now. What we want to do is jump back into Pro Tools. I'm going to select that sample and then come in and press the key and you can see it's actioned that entire sequence for me. Now this is just one example, and obviously you could pick your own keyboard command sequences to program onto a bunch of different keys to speed up your workflow. Any changes you make to the key assignments in the 360 software are automatically saved in the background for you, so you don't have to remember to formally save something every time you change a key assignment. However, should you wish to save or load a profile you've been working on, perhaps because you're working out of a different studio, you can of course do this by clicking on the disclosure triangle to the left of the currently loaded profile name and using the save and load buttons to save and load to a location on your computer or a connected drive. And finally, if you've made some changes but want to revert to the factory ship profile, then you can use the revert button and it will reset that profile to the one that UF8 shipped with. Now, we hope you found this video useful in exploring some of what UF8 can do. Please be sure to check out the SSL website for more information.